The Wednesday Wellness Show.
With Paul and Emma.
Hello and welcome to the Wednesday Wellness Show with Paul and Emma. We're experiencing, as you can probably tell by the time, we're experiencing some technical difficulties, I'm afraid. We're hoping that Clive is going to be with us at any moment, so do please bear with us. In the meantime, we'll just crack on, won't we, Emma?
We sure will, because the show must go on.
Exactly, lovey. That's right. Okay, so today we're discussing the importance of remineralisation, aren't we, Emma?
We sure are.
We are, yes.
Without that, we all turn to pillars of salt.
Precisely. So why are so many of us experiencing low minerals, do you think?
Well, there's 3 or 4 different reasons. Did you know that as you metabolize starchy carbs, as you metabolize sugars, your body needs a lot of minerals just to do the job? So that's one. So if you're eating toast for breakfast and sandwich for lunch and then a pizza, that's a lot of starchy carbs. So your body's going to need a lot of minerals, right? Where's it getting the minerals from? It pulls them from your bones and your teeth. That's something, that's tooth decay. So that's one. Then glyphosate, which has been used ubiquitously in industrial farming for the last, since the 1980s, and then really heavily in the 90s, 2000s, and still used very heavily, although it's slightly dropping off, but the damage is done. Glyphosate chelates minerals from the soil. So if the soil is demineralized, the vegetables are demineralized. If the vegetables are demineralized, the animals are demineralized. If the animals and the veg are demineralized, we're demineralized. The whole world's demineralized in the West with industrial food production. And then basically we're just not eating enough nutrient dense foods. Like, who eats liver every day? I do, actually, nearly, but raw, just a little bit, a teaspoon or so, like a supplement. You can do that, beef liver or lamb's liver. Who's eating really nutrient dense food? Like oysters. Who eats oysters these days every day? We're just not eating enough nutrient dense foods. Now, there was another reason, but I can't quite remember what it is. It'll come back to me in a minute.
Okay. All right. Brilliant. Okay. So what are the best strategies for making sure that we're getting enough minerals in our diet and from supplements?
What are the best strategies? Well, I just touched on it. Eating nutrient dense foods really essential. But even if you are eating loads of nutrient-dense foods, it could be that your mineral balance is so off that even if you ate all the best food in the world, you still wouldn't have enough of your macros. And the macro minerals are magnesium and calcium that work together, and potassium and sodium that work together. So quite a lot of people have got plenty of sodium because they salt their food, and they hopefully no one is using table salt and everyone's using sea salt. But if you're salting your food a lot and you're not getting a good source of potassium, then you need a lot of it. I eat maybe 2 teaspoons of salt a day sometimes, and that's okay for me. It works for me.
What type of salt?
The salt I have is sel de Guérande. It's a French
Celtic sea salt, yeah.
Celtic sea salt, yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. Yeah, because we're not advocating that you eat 2 teaspoons of table salt a day, are we?
No, that would be like poison.
Yes.
Actually.
Yeah.
Because it's a monomineral and it would upset your mineral balance. So what's your source of potassium? Leafy greens. But what if you're not eating a lot of leafy greens? There's some potassium in animal products. Yeah. Bacon. Okay. So, but really, you need an equivalent, possibly, a few teaspoons. So where are you going to get a few teaspoons of potassium from? Well, cream of tartar is pretty good. So that's those 2 macros. And then everyone always says we've got too much calcium and nobody needs to supplement calcium. But I disagree. I disagree because most of us are oxalate overloaded. And oxalates grab hold of calcium as it comes out of your cell as the messenger, and then it doesn't get the message through. So your calcium's being hijacked by certain things. So I think everyone could use calcium in the form of 24-hour fermented dairy or eggshell mineral mix or calcium citrate. I think we need calcium. That comes in lots of forms, and I think we should supplement with calcium as well as magnesium. Magnesium goes without saying. I think we all need magnesium. It's the miracle mineral of relaxation. And when anyone's stressed, their magnesium tanks. And who do you know these days who's actually relaxed?
Okay, I would, far be it from me to challenge you, Emma, on any of that, but I would just say that as I understand it, we've got magnesium and calcium, they're twin minerals, okay? Now, it's easier in the modern world to get calcium from the diet than it is magnesium. Magnesium typically comes from leafy greens, but as we know, if people are eating leafy greens, most of them have come from the supermarket and they've been sprayed. Okay. So the other thing about calcium is it typically stays in the body for much longer than magnesium does. Magnesium gets burned up a lot more quickly than calcium does. Plus, the body is able to recycle calcium. It cannot recycle magnesium. So we burn magnesium, we burn into our reserves when we're stressed, when we're lacking in sleep, when we're not feeling well, all sorts of different reasons. So as I've, as part of my journey, I understand that, well, I think I understand that most people don't need a calcium supplement, but they're screaming out for magnesium.
Well, I think magnesium, and especially your magnesium, I like it because it's in a gelatin capsule and there's 3 to 4 different kinds of magnesium, so anybody can pick and choose. It's really, really easy, and I highly recommend that. But what I found is so Look's grandma, she's in her 70s. She was diagnosed with high oxalates, having high oxalate problems. She's just got diagnosed as being autistic, actually, age 70. And then she went off the oxalates, and she had all sorts of fibrosis and scar tissue, which was full of white hardness. When scar tissue goes white and hard, that's because there's calcium oxalate crystals. They love the fibrinogen as they gravitate towards injury. So that's if you've got something that's not healing properly, you can virtually guarantee it's oxalate. So let's look at that. But she just had a bad shoulder, where like a frozen shoulder, couldn't lift up, getting worse and worse, screaming in agony. And then she took a remedy that's recommended by Sally K. Norton, which is lemon juice with salt and some calcium. And
Isn't that interesting? Because for a frozen shoulder, or like what's that condition where it's to do with Vikings, the Viking gene, where people get a locked finger or a locked thumb, the best remedy I've always found for that is magnesium.
Well, isn't that interesting? But they work, they work together, and
they certainly
everyone's
do.
different. You've got to find out what works, what works for you.
I mean, calcium helps your muscles to contract, and magnesium helps everything to relax. So I would have thought with a frozen shoulder, magnesium would have been better. But
it does make sense. But people with chronic fatigue, right, their calcium, as it leaves the cell to do the contracting work, right, it gets hijacked, and then the message doesn't get through, and then their muscles are just like, can't do it. They need magnesium. They need calcium, I should say. They need calcium and magnesium. Anyway, that's the macros. We haven't even touched on the micros.
Yes.
And there's so many micros, I can't even list them all. And molybdenum, selenium, and iodine, and you tell me.
There's one called yttrium, evidently a trace mineral. We've got bacteria in our gut that only feeds off yttrium, which is a trace mineral, which is in fulvic minerals.
Okay.
But yeah, so I mean, the trace minerals would have been in our soil for centuries prior to industrialized farming.
Boron, copper, zinc.
Boron's
really, really important. And if you haven't got enough copper, you're in trouble, because copper is the general that commands the iron and the zinc foot soldiers to get into position and do the thing. And if copper isn't in position, they're just sort of faffing around, just sort of lounging around, not doing the work. And copper, the general, needs retinol, vitamin A, to hoist him into position to do the work. So if you haven't got enough vitamin A, again, and then people are at the moment are all like, don't take too much vitamin A toxicity, copper toxicity. But it's like there's some different views coming in that are confusing the issue.
Do you know about the ratio between zinc and copper, what it should be? Because we're told it should be 10-1, so 10 times as much zinc as copper. And if you take more copper than that, then you could potentially knock out your zinc.
Right. No, I don't know about the ratios because I really only ever supplement those micro minerals via whole food sources, and they come sort of as a package with perfect ratios already there, ready, bioavailable. So,
Sure.
so that's in beef liver or other animal livers and in oysters and other seafood. And if people can't handle those foods, then that's another story. But you can microdose them as well. Like you can microdose the powdered oyster and just have a little bit. And some people take it and it sends them off the rails because it's just too much.
Okay, let's take some comments from the audience. Or Gulag, thank you for joining us again, Rich. He has asked, what is bad about table salt? Over to you, Emma. If it's
sodium.
white, sorry, I'll just say one thing about that. If it's been bleached as table salt has, so it looks white, it's not salt anymore.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
It's a monomineral. It's just sodium chloride.
Yeah.
It's only one mineral, sodium chloride. And whereas sea salt it's about 50% magnesium, sea salt, and then it's 50% all the other minerals under the sun that come from the sea. So you're getting micro minerals from your salt. That grey sea salt that sticks together, that's hygroscopic, that you think, and then you can't put it in a salt shaker, is actually like gold dust, and everyone should have that in their kitchen.
Yeah, I agree. You can actually put a grain of Celtic sea salt on the tip of your tongue if you're about to have an asthma attack, and it will stop it in its tracks. So
really, I didn't know that.
Yes.
And
yeah, so
it's a good idea if you're dehydrated to put a grain of Celtic sea salt under your tongue before you have a glass of water.
Yeah, I do that. Brilliant. Okay. We've had a comment from Cocolas. Hello, Caroline. She has asked, I'm not too sure about the spelling here, do Praini's disease, Paul? Have you heard of, can you see that, Emma, the name of that disease? I might not be pronouncing it correctly.
I can't see it because here, Dupraney's disease.
Yes.
I've no idea what that is.
I'm afraid I don't either. I mean, there are so many conditions out there now, it's impossible to keep up with it.
And frankly, I mean, they call them all these different names, but for me, there is no disease. There's only toxicity and deficiency.
Deficiency, yeah, brilliant. Okay, Caroline, if you could let us know or expand a bit more on that, we might be able to help. Okay, what about iron deficiency, Emma? Because this is, according to some experts, connected to copper, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I would never recommend taking an iron supplement because
me neither.
We have been overloaded with literally iron filings if we've been eating processed foods from the last 50 years. More, actually, because they've started to fortify flour in 1945, I think. And fortified flour contains folic acid, which is a disaster for people with the MTHFR, the mother gene. So again, I don't believe in genetic kind of conditions. I believe that our genes express themselves according to the environmental stimulus. So when people say, I've got the MTHFR, it's like your genes are expressing themselves because of the environment they're in, not because of how you're born. Anyway, they've been fortifying the flour. It's full of literally iron filings. I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again for anyone who hasn't heard this. If you take a packet of cornflakes that says fortified with iron and you crush it in the bag and then draw a magnet through it, you're going to come up with a load of iron filings. It's madness. And this is what we give our children every morning for their
Yeah, it's not
breakfast.
funny. Yeah.
And then we wonder why they're bouncing off the walls and ADHD and can't focus. And then in America, they're giving them Ritalin and telling them to calm down. You know, don't get me started. Iron supplements are not necessary. What's necessary is to get the rest of your minerals balanced. Then iron will get told where to go and what to do.
Okay.
Go on.
So I was always told if you've got an iron deficiency, then have a steak and then eat an orange, and that would probably remedy the situation.
Okay.
I don't know if that's an old wives' tale. Or...
I like the sound of that. Sounds about right. A bit of vitamin C and some, and steak will be giving you lots of other lovely things as well. Phosphate and sulfur and all sorts.
Okay. What about teeth, Emma? I mean, minerals are super important for teeth. Lovely gnashers. What do you think about minerals and teeth?
Yeah, there's a lovely book called Cure Tooth Decay by Rami Al-Nagel.
Yes.
And he's no longer with us, sadly. But he did challenge the dental industry, and his book describes a diet that's not dissimilar to GAPS, actually. Get off all starchy carbs because the metabolizing of starchy carbs uses up minerals in your body. And even honey, he says no honey. And eat plenty of nutrient-dense meats, poultry, fish, butter, all the good fats. How many good fats? And also an excellent remedy for blackened baby teeth and, if you've got cavities, is fermented cod liver oil. I don't know if it is actually fermented, but the way they produce it is it keeps, it stops it from going rancid. And Rosita do a good one, and Green Pastures do a good one that is shelf stable for a long time. You're still supposed to keep it in the fridge, but it's with butter oil as well, which was what Weston A. Price called the X factor. The butter oil, the combination of the butter oil with the cod liver oil, and cod liver oil is super high in retinol and vitamin A from an animal source, not vitamin A from a vegetable source, beta carotene, that doesn't count. We want retinol from an animal source, vitamin A. Cod liver oil is full of vitamin A, vitamin D in perfect ratio, perfectly bioavailable, vitamin K, which is also a cofactor in how your body uses that, and the omegas. And the omegas, the essential fatty acids. And actually, you need all that to make a good set of gnashers.
Brilliant. Yeah, the Western Price Foundation announced, I think it was in 2008, that Activator X was in fact vitamin K2.
Oh, is it? Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's K2. Cocolas. The Viking disease you mentioned, Paul, earlier, I've heard it's hereditary, but I'm not entirely sure. Also could be linked to a vitamin D deficiency. It's the most fascinating condition.
Where your fingers start.
People get like a lock in their finger and they can't. But I've personally witnessed people take a good magnesium supplement and that is immediately rectified usually within minutes, literally.
Literally.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
When you say it's hereditary, that implies that it is genetic. And as I was just alluding, genes express themselves according to the environmental stimulus. It isn't. I don't agree with the mainstream narrative that if you've got the gene, you're going to get the breast cancer, or you're going to get the Hodgkin's disease, or you're going to get. I don't hold with that. I don't believe it. And actually, it's very liberating to read Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton.
Bruce Lipton. I was just about to mention him. Yeah, epigenetics.
Exactly. Yeah. It's above and beyond this story of genetics, which freaks everyone out and makes people cut off their boobs just in case. Sorry, but it's wrong.
It's crazy. It's just insane. Okay. One comment from Orguluk. Wondering if a lack of minerals could cause debilitating piles. A friend of mine suffers and has already cut out ultra-processed and strongbow, but to no avail. Would you suggest another brand of, so I don't know, would you suggest something else for me?
Piles are when basically you haven't got enough collagen and like elasticity in the in the lining of the colon. So, you know, we need to get the stock. You need to have collagenous, you know, get some oxtail, for heaven's sake. Get some oxtail and, you know, get that in the stock pot and start to blend in, cook it down so that all the meat falls off the bone. Eat the meat, drink the stock like tea, and then get all those oogy collagenous bits and just blend them into pancake or something. I don't know. Get it down, you. You need more collagen. Yeah.
I was just about to ask you about collagen. So with collagen, as somebody that owns a supplements company, a lot of my customers have said, when are you going to sell collagen supplements, Paul? And I've always kind of, I'm just not very comfortable with the idea, basically, because I know that if you have all the cofactors in place to help your body produce collagen, then you won't need any collagen supplements.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about vitamin C, zinc, NAC. I think sulfur is very good as well. So it's like a handful of nutrients, and if you've got good levels of those, you shouldn't need a collagen supplement.
Yeah. And sulfur you can get from onions and garlic and
Yeah.
you know, sulfurous vegetables like cauliflower and broccoli and cabbage even. But yeah, some people need more. Some people need MSM, methyl sulfonomethane. They need extra methane, extra sulfur
Yeah.
to get that process working. And so sometimes we do need supplements. But I tell you what, it's pointless taking supplements of any description, really, except magnesium, I think, if you've got leaky gut. Because if you've got if you've got leaky gut, whatever's going in isn't going to be assimilated. So
Yeah.
you need to fix the leaky gut. You need to heal and seal the gut lining, and then you can start to supplement, and it'll actually get assimilated because your gut lining's working properly. It's really important.
And so the best ways for healing the gut would be gaps.
Well, I'm biased on that front, but I've seen, you know, it's been 15 years I've been working with gaps and it works. So like, why change the subject? Why change the record? It's stock. The stock pot is the kingpin. Beef tea, chicken tea, you know, lamb tea. You make a stock and drink it like tea. And then lots and lots of good fats, animal fats, I mean, no vegetable oils. Lots of organic veg cooked in stock with lots of butter and fermented garlic, you know, lots of gelatinous meats, soups, stews, all that good stuff. And we can use some lentils, we can use coconut flour, lots of eggs, cultured cream, 24-hour fermented dairy, lots of lacto fermented vegetables, pickles and kimchi and that kind of thing, ferments, you know. And we can make cakes and muffins and pancakes and things like that. We just need like no grains, and we can have nuts and seeds as well, in moderation nuts, but we can have seeds and make granola and yummy things. Just that's what heals the gut.
Brilliant stuff. Couldn't agree more. Cockelass has said, I read in Sally K. Norton's book that the sternum of a chicken contains a good supply of collagen. Absolutely.
It's that white breastbone, I think you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you cook the stock pot, you know, long enough, then that will go really soggy and you can just blend it into a soup.
Lovely. Okay. Caroline's also read that the collagen supplements can cause kidney stones.
I've not heard that.
Yeah. What do you think? And sometimes, and I don't know this for definite, so don't quote me on this, but sometimes, I mean, with things like glutathione, some people take glutathione supplements, and there's plenty of scientific literature on this. If you take glutathione supplements in the long term, it can actually prohibit your liver's ability to produce it naturally afterwards. So when you're taking in these sort of substances, you know, you must think long term, and sometimes there are risks attached to it.
It's a bit like taking a herbal remedy. You wouldn't take it for longer than 2 or 3 weeks, and then you'd stop and give your body a break to see what happens next. The best thing is to get it from sources of food. You know, you can't OD on the stock pot, but hydrolyzed protein powders, which is what collagen, you know, they have their place for certain, like a free form blend of amino acids with no fillers and no flavorings and no nothing. It's effectively, it's not collagen, but it's free form amino acids, all the essential amino acids. If your digestive system's broken and you're not feeling right, you're going to need essential amino acids, essential fatty acids, and easily digestible foods like egg yolks, raw egg yolks, and the stock and good fats. They need not very much digestion. Fats need a bit more digestion. If your bile's not flowing, there's going to be trouble there, but that's another story. But the essential amino acids, which is not collagen powder, but it's amino acid free form powder, just putting half a teaspoon of that under your tongue and letting it dissolve and allowing those amino acids to be absorbed by the mucosal membranes in your mouth immediately give you some building blocks for your neurotransmitters. And because it's a broad spectrum, it's not just methionine or histamine, or it's not just L-tyrosine or whatever, phenylalanine or whatever. It's not just one, it's a broad spectrum blend, which means they work together as well. That can really help people with if they're in despair or in a mood, and they can't shake the mood, they can't get their shit together to just pick up a knife and start chopping vegetables to make a soup or whatever. That can really, people who've been anorexic or people who've literally been starving, which is a lot of the population, if they haven't been eating properly, they're literally starving, then we can maybe use a broad spectrum amino as a tool. But the hydrolyzed protein powders are not recommended by Dr. Natasha. We just go for the stock pot, make beef tea.
Okay. If you're a vegetarian watching this, then I would recommend Clive de Cole's amino acid blend. It's the best one I've ever tried. They're plant-based, these amino acids that he uses in his blend, but they work, believe you me. Really good for energy and focus. There we are. Okay, Emma. I'm afraid Clive hasn't been able to join us, you can probably tell, which is a shame, but I will try and get him on in the near future. Next week, I would like to discuss the menopause, Emma.
Cool. Okay, let's do that.
And lots of natural solutions. Thank you for joining us, everyone, this evening. Sorry Clive wasn't able to join us, but we'll make it up to you, I promise.
Lots of love.
Cheers.